Hi, my name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a relationship and marriage expert and the director of the Center for Self-Differentiation in Carmel, Indiana, on the north side of Indianapolis. But today I'm fortunate enough to be at the JW Marriott in Chicago, Illinois. And the title of this video is Build Up Your Ability to Go Without Love or Approval. The best way to not be alone is to be able to stand alone. So many clients come to me and they've experienced dysfunction from their childhood and have felt lonely most of all of their life. They haven't had a chance or an opportunity to learn much about self-differentiation. They did not learn that when they were growing up. In fact, what they learned was enmeshment, worried states, anxiety, trauma. And so being able to stand alone, which is so important for self-differentiation and so important for relationships, I wanted to do a video on building up our ability to go without love or approval. Most adult children, ACAs, ACOAs, adult children of narcissistic parents, adult children of abuse, have grown up with an addiction to love and approval. And whenever we have an addiction to something, we never can achieve it or have it. We're just always searching for it. And remember, loneliness is a result or a symptom of unresolved childhood issues. And I often teach people that the solution is often not near the problem. So when people try to solve the problem of loneliness, they then get stuck onto other relationships, which then either end up falling apart, in which they feel abandoned, in which they feel left, in which they often end up with broken relationships. And so that which they seek after doesn't happen, even though they are so desperately feel needy for it. So many of us fear being lonely and fearing being abandoned and being alone. Often those of us who fear being alone already experience it, as I've said. Our fear of being left all alone, being abandoned, pushes us into those unhealthy relationships where what we fear comes upon us. I always know what will happen when someone says to their partner, I've been hurt so many times, and I've been abandoned before, and I just want you to know that. And again, that's their hope that they will glue the relationship together, either through victimhood or sadness or poor me, or to have the other person feel for them and therefore will not end the relationship. But often it's that very insecurity that causes the relationship to fail. And of course, what do you think will happen when I hear that from people who are dating, people who've started a relationship? I just want them to know how much I've been hurt in the past. And again, on the hope that that will vaccinate this relationship so that that disease of being abandoned or alone won't happen. If we still are stuck in the hurt and the fear of abandonment and the fear of being alone, we will then attract those who cannot maintain a long, healthy, connected relationship, or those who use our fears for their own purposes while discarding us when they've got what they needed or wanted from us. We have to resolve and deal with our fears and not attract our fears. And that's a healthy and important part of self-differentiation. We find those partners and friends who will not be able to achieve healthy connection and intimacy with us, just like we experienced growing up in our family of origins. And again, neediness and overfusion, or over emotional fusion, or enmeshment we call it, will always result in being left all alone and abandoned. Standing alone with the self, with me, giving up on neediness for the love and approval, will result in a true intimacy, true connectedness, and lifelong relationships. That happened in my life, it can happen in your life. Self-differentiation is the key to connectedness. And again, I think that I'm talking about the paradox of love and approval. If you need it, you won't get it. If you let it go, it will come to you. If you really want it, then don't need it. And that's where we have to practice not needing it, so that it becomes internalized to us. And that's when relationships start to happen. Many adult children of dysfunctional families feel so afraid of this topic and feel so afraid of this work because that's the very thing they don't want, to give up their neediness for love and approval, or their fantasy search and pilgrimage for love and approval in relationships. I do want to mention very importantly that, remember, standing alone is not the same thing as being alone. In fact, I believe the best way to be alone is to not stand alone. And I think you're getting that from the video that I'm trying to share with you. Self-abandonment is the root of all adult abandonment issues. We were abandoned when we were young, and then we continue that abandonment of ourselves all the way out through our lives. And then we look for someone to fix that abandonment, when really the fix is inside us. And that's the good news. The bad news is we learned abandonment. The good news is we can learn connectedness with ourselves. Then we can connect with others. Intentional acceptance of aloneness and living without love and acceptance leads to freedom and real connectedness in relationships. You have to be a self to have healthy relationships. You have to be able to stand alone to truly be with others, whether it be a partner, marriage, friends. And this is what I teach and help clients to do in my work when I assist them. First of all, to build an emotional backbone. I don't mean being aggressive, mean, harsh, controlling. It has nothing to do with that. Emotional backbone is, I can stand alone and be okay with me. That is emotional backbone. That will allow us to be assertive, to share our wants and desires, to know what our wants and desires are, to set healthy boundaries and to keep them. Secondly, build up your ability to go without love and acceptance. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. Thirdly, learn how to use your reactivity, because it's that reactivity that causes us to enmesh with those unhealthy folks and unhealthy family members. Learn how to use your reactivity to learn new things about yourself and about the system and about the relationship system, whether it be a marriage, your family of origin. Your reactivity can tell you a lot about how to proceed, what to do with yourself. It's a gyroscope that helps us to know what to do. When I'm being reactive, I know that's not healthy and it's being immature. There's something deficient in me that causes this reactivity. And so I want to learn something about that. During the holiday season, as I've been working with different folks who reconnect with their family of origin, whether it be July the 4th or whatever holidays happen throughout the year, and they have to go interact with their family, we learn how to learn about that reactivity so that we can become free from it. Here's some things I advise and assist clients to do. This is a short list. There's a longer list. Probably a book could be written on being able to stand alone and being able to live without love and approval so that you can get it And again, that's the paradox of a family systems approach, which really can be helpful. First of all, intentionally grieve the loss of love and approval. Just like with any addict, they have to grieve the loss of their substance that they're giving up, whether it be alcohol, cocaine, drugs, gambling, sex. When they begin to learn abstinence, they have to grieve the loss of that. Well, if we're addicted to love and acceptance, then we have to grieve the loss of that love and acceptance that we're trying to get a fix each time for. And I think you'll notice that when you interact with your family of origin, and you find one more time you're hoping for the perfect parent, the perfect parents, the Norman Rockwell family, the idealized relationship. And we're always trying to get that fix from them. And we can have it for a very short time, but then it disappears. And then we feel alone again or lonely. For example, second, you might visualize standing alone and being supported by you and the earth underneath you. Visualize being strong and alone, letting your body and the earth hold you up, because we're trying to practice standing in place no matter what's happening around us. And if you're behind you, that's a very strong, powerful, emotional state to have. If I'm behind me, then others don't cause all these reactions within me as much. And I'm able to stand there and be with other people and be me with other people. And of course, as I've mentioned many other times in my 100+ videos I have on YouTube, self-differentiation is achieving the balance and the goal of staying connected while being yourself. Staying connected while being yourself. That is not an easy task. Usually we'll fall on one side or the other, totally be ourselves and be aggressive and I don't need you, or we enmesh and we become either codependent or just very needy, and we get manipulated by other people to try and get our needs met. Thirdly, identify ways you can please or bring pleasure to yourself without others. There's a great book called Feeling Good, The New Mood Therapy, I think by David Burns. And it's an excellent book talking about, especially the chapter or the section on pleasuring. In other words, adding pleasure to yourself and finding out what do you enjoy about you? What do you enjoy about what you can do for you? Because that standing alone is very important. If you're really very clinically depressed, it's absolutely essential that a depressed person increase their level of pleasure. We know depression is a deficit of pleasure, and we aren't motivated. We have anhedonia, hedonism, anhedonia, no pleasure. Hedonism is pleasure, no pleasure. Well, a lot of adult children of alcoholics or adult children of dysfunctional families, those who grew up in difficult homes, grew up with a deficit of pleasure and carry that on into their adulthood. And so learning that and needing to learn that is so critical for self-differentiation. Fourthly, think about this. If everyone else left you and you were left alone, what would you be doing? What would you choose to do? Or think about, if I did not need the love and acceptance of others, what would I choose to do? What would I be doing? And those are some ways to get a hold of some of that material and information we need about ourselves. It's kind of scary because we think, if I live without love and approval, I'll be devastated. The problem is we're already living without love and approval and acceptance. We're already doing that. So what we fear is already happening to us. So what does it hurt to give it up when we're not getting it anyway, and then we get it? And again, that's the paradox. Fifthly, work at being or standing alone while interacting with others. Is it okay to be an island? And many people say, well, no man is an island. And I say, every man is an island. But the healthy ones have bridges, walkways, and fairies that bring people in and out of your life. Every man is an island. And they bring all of that love and relationship into the island and connects with you. No man is an island, but every healthy man or woman is. And again, I don't mean a cut off island. I mean an island with lots of entries, ins and outs. But we still need the island, which is the self. We still need who we are. There are many more steps and things to learn, and these were just a few examples of those. I work with those to reduce their need for love and acceptance so that they can actually find it. And I think it's very powerful. I've seen it happen hundreds and hundreds of times. It does work because we have to think first well about our relationship system before we can begin to change it. I have free reading resources for you if you'll write me on email. My contact information is up on the screen. Whether you live in Chicago, Illinois, or Los Angeles, or Miami, or Toronto, or Dubai, or Austria, or give me a call, send me an email. I'll send you the resources, and if you'd like to work with me, let me know, and we'll work something out for you. I hope that you will please join our YouTube channel. I think I've got 120 free videos for you on YouTube. You can find all my videos there, and you can listen to those. Many people have told me they've listened to them over and over again, and it's not, these are not things they often hear from their own therapist or coach, and I think a family systems approach is a very powerful and helpful approach to healing from dysfunctional families and finding a new way to live as a self and self-differentiated. I want to thank you today for watching, and have a great day.